Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make Winnie the Pooh's house. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please remember to hit that like button, and if you make it all the way to the end, share the video with a friend. Sharing is caring. But without any further ado, let's get started. Before we begin the build, on the screen right now should be a list of materials that you are going to need to make it, and rough amounts that you're going to be using to make this build. And not only that, the build itself only requires about a 10 block area by a 12 block area to make, so it's not too bad. Please, if you have to, pause the video, make sure that you have everything in order, and then we can begin. So to begin, if you have made this grid in your world, you want to start on the front left hand corner. Count to the right by 1, 2, 3, and then inwards by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way we're both starting in the same place. On top of this block, we want to place 3 spruce plank. 1, 2, 3. Extend right to 1, 2, and then down towards the ground. Place a row of oak slabs in front of the top of the doorway. Then place a row of oak wood on top of this. Extend that upwards by about 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be messy at the moment as we will be editing the tree quite a bit later. What I next want you to do is actually a little tricky to do, but what we are going to be doing is taking this left oak block at the bottom, and we want to extend it inwards, and then out, back by 2, 1, 2, and then in 1, out 1, left 2, then in 1, towards us, in 2, and then you don't even really have to connect back. As a matter of fact, you can destroy the blocks in the middle if you like. We're going to raise all of those oak woods up to be about as high as each other. You can go a little bit higher if you like, you can go a little bit lower, but I find that this is just about the perfect height to make Pooh's house. We don't really want to make it too massive, it is just a nice cozy little house in a tree after all. Now, once that has been completed, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to extend the doorway at the base of the build left by about 2 rows using oak wood. 1 row, and then probably about 2 rows, like this. We want to place a row of 6 birch planks coming backwards from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up by 2, and then back on yourself. Connect down, shrink the area inwards, and then place glass pane in the remaining. Oak trapdoors left and right of the glass like this, and then we're going to extend the birch planks across the back of the build by about 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we want that row to be as high as all the other rows. So the next thing here, and this is kind of tricky really, is you want to extend it forwards. Now, you don't strictly want to extend it all the way forwards as I'm doing, as we will be editing later, but you do want to create a wall here. If you like, you can extend it about as far as where we have the door here, just like set 1 row behind. You see, the thing is, next to the door, we actually kind of want to build up an area. So we kind of want to place a little bit of grass or dirt next to the door in this sort of fashion. It doesn't have to exactly be the way that I'm doing it. You can kind of do it in a messier or sloppier fashion than I'm actually doing right now. But building up kind of like a little bit of a corner area like this is great. We're also going to place a little bit of oak wood as well. So the oak wood is kind of going to trickle down from the tree like this. It might even build up a little bit like that, and maybe even like be built into the ground a little bit as well. You know how trees are, they're massive, they're huge, the roots go everywhere, the trunk is kind of like weird and unpredictable, and that is what this house is a little bit as well. And speaking of weird and unpredictable, on this left side here, we kind of want to build this out a little bit as well. So kind of in front of here, we kind of want to add a little bit of extra oak wood kind of like around the door, and we kind of want to have it poking out in all sorts of different directions. And once again, you can even kind of like build it into the ground if you like, and you may even choose to add a little bit of jungle leaves to the area as well. You can do the same on the other side, by the way. You can kind of make it all nice and foresty looking like this, and as you can see, it improves the area quite a bit. And as a matter of fact, a non-optional bit of detail is above this window here on the left, we're going to place an oak wood above the left part of the window, jungle leaves left and right. You see, I suppose we should actually do this right now. This part of the house here where we have all of the birch planks, we actually want to build up a bit of a roof. And it's made out of oak wood, spruce wood slabs, by the way. So we're actually going to place spruce wood slabs on the left and right sides of the house. So there. And we actually want to place spruce wood slabs moving upwards half a row at a time, like this. So if you can imagine where these are going to go, in relation to the originals, we kind of just want to build into the tree a little bit, and we just want to place some spruce wood slabs. Doesn't have to be perfect. Where you can, on the back, I want you to place birchwood planks underneath the slabs. In some places, you're going to have to place spruce wood slabs connecting downwards like this. It is an option for you to make the roof look a little bit nicer on the back, if you so choose. By that I mean you can extend it one row outwards, and you can kind of like hanging off a little bit. But this house is absolutely not refined at all. That's kind of the charm of it. It's kind of like a little shack, really. Built into the actual house itself, you'll often find like tree branches and stuff. You'll often find like random bits of oak wood kind of like built in to into the top of the house. And the only discernible detail that doesn't have to do with the tree on the top of the build is a small chimney pot. A chimney pot is basically made using a cobblestone wall and an anvil, specifically in that position, as that would actually make sense built into the actual wall rather than hanging off at the end of the roof. If you like, you can later add webbing to that, and we might actually do just that. Now, you see, once you have done that, we can now focus a little bit on some of the more surrounding areas. So, for instance, like on this side of the house, you might want to build up some grass around the actual house itself. It's not often that you'll actually find views of this side of the house for Winnie's house. It's not often you'll actually find that. Oftentimes you'll see the opposite side, which has a window, but you won't often see this side. So that's kind of led me to a little bit of experimentation. But I imagine it's very similar to this side. I'm assuming there's no window on the opposite side, but that doesn't mean that the oak wood has went anywhere, so make sure to build up a little bit of oak wood coming up and around the house. Even leave a little bit of the house exposed on the front, but make sure to use some leaves from the tree to kind of just build up the area a little bit. We can do this a little bit more as time goes on, and if you don't want to, you don't even have to stray out of the boundaries. I just have a little bit just as, I don't know, it just seemed kind of right. But you can see here that we are actually doing quite a lot of good here. We're doing a nice bit to the base of the tree. Let me do myself a favor and remove the concrete so we can add a little bit more detail to the base of the tree. There we are, that's better. So, the reason that I wanted to clear that, and I'm just going to dump these materials for a second, and primarily we're going to need a diamond shovel, tripwire hook, we're going to need, it'd be nice if we had a sign actually, I'll make sure that's in the item list, but we'll grab one anyway. We need specifically spruce trapdoor, we're going to use lilacs, large fern, coal ore, cobwebs, flower pot, And yeah, that's all we'll be using other than the sign, which should be here. There we go. So the reason that we want a sign is for the door. The door right here, there's a little sign to the left of here. Usually above it will say like Mr. Sanders or something like that, or perhaps it says it on this sign right here. I'm not really sure from memory, but there is a sign. To the left of the door, we're going to have a tripwire hook. That's actually supposed to look a little bit like a bell. I imagine that's what rings as you're trying to get Pooh's attention. Outside of the house, we want to place some grass paths. So you can either dig it out using a shovel, as I am here, or you can simply place grass path. It's completely up to you. But I'd rather just use the shovel myself. And you only kind of want to focus towards the front of the build. You don't want to do too much grass path on the sides. So on the front of the build, additionally, we have a little campfire. I assume Pooh has harnessed fire, and we're going to destroy a block here, coal ore, spruce trapdoors around, and then we're going to have cobweb coming from that, and then another cobweb coming up. So it's almost as if the fire has been extinguished. There is a lot of honey pots surrounding the base of the tree. So I'm just going to place some pots. You can't actually place them on the grass path, that's fine. Just a couple there will do. You can even hide one up here if you want to. Will be quite nice. Those can just act as honey pots. Something that we haven't done yet is put the door on the place. So an oak door I think functions quite nicely. It also fits the aesthetic. On the left side of the build, underneath the window, there is a purple plant. It goes right here. Everywhere else is kind of just like a mishmash of different... It's just like a mishmash of plant life. So grabbing some leaves and some brown carpet and some green carpet and stuff is going to be handy, because what we can do is just kind of like pepper the area a little bit with some grass, and we can place some green carpet and brown carpet to kind of just look like foliage and fallen leaves, and you know, all that sort of fun stuff. And you can even place some leaves around. If you're looking for a little bit of a backdrop to kind of like cut off Pooh's house from everything else, it's Pooh's house is basically in the forest, in the woods. It's in the 100-acre woods. It's in the name. So if you want to build up a load of plant life, trees, leaves and stuff around this, if you kind of just want to kind of put like a border around Pooh's house, you might want to add some of that around the area. I'll be doing a lot more of that later though. But if you do that, then you can kind of set some very clear boundaries around Pooh's house, whether or not you want to make the entire 100-acre woods. And I'd actually kind of be into making some more houses, perhaps Tigger's house, Piglet's house, Eeyore, the owl. Never remember the owl's name. But you guys get the idea. I might be willing to make some more. You could, really connect all the houses together, make a nice little collection. But that is a lot of the ground details done for the house, guys, which means we can't really put off what is next. And the last but not least to this is pretty much we need oak wood and jungle leaves. That's all that we're going to need, really. For the top of the tree, first of all, I'm going to fill the top of it in using nothing other than oak wood, like this. And I'm actually going to add another row of oak wood on top of this, just to make it slightly higher, only a little bit. And I'm going to add an oak wood in the middle of all of the sides like this, to just kind of like shape the tree a little bit. Just so that it looks a little bit less man-made, you know? Even though it is, obviously. So around the top of the tree, and this is the way that I did it, by the way, I made a shape using jungle leaves. I run into the same problem whenever I make a tree house of any description. I never know how to make a tutorial for the leaves because it's so random. You see, that's kind of the point of the tree house, is that the leaves are very, very random. And I'm not going to ramble on about this as I would in most of my other tutorials. So this is kind of like a rough guide of what you can do, right? So if you're wondering how to make decent looking leaves for a treehouse, make a shape around the treehouse that is 2D. Something circular, something that leaves would make, right? You know, and you're going to have to change it a lot. You're going to have to mess about with it quite a bit. Something like that would be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect on both sides. And once you are happy with that shape in particular, you're going to want to start extending it in a particular way. So, you know, forwards, backwards, whatever, to the sides. And the good thing about the trees, the good thing about the leaves, is that they can always be pruned. Meaning, your decision isn't permanent when it comes to building these. But the point of the matter is, what you want to do is you want to add layers and layers and layers of leaves on the inside of the shape of the tree. And you slowly want to shrink it. And that's all there is to it. So you want to slowly shrink the leaves coming in a particular direction. Like this. So as you can see, we started off with the big shape, right? And we have slowly whittled it down to this, to which we will then add more green leaves to, slowly shrinking the shape again, and again, and we'll keep going until it looks normal. And yeah, something like that actually looks kind of fine. And then we can add some more leaves in front. And this is the sort of thing that you yourself are going to have to do. You're not going to be able to copy me block for this, unless you're very dedicated, in which case, hey, maybe you are, maybe you're very dedicated. But you can see what this sort of methodology yields is you'll end up with this sort of shape, right? That's not too bad. But you're also going to want to do more things to the tree. For instance, you're going to want to add branches. There's a few branches around the tree, but I only add one in this tutorial. Branch is going to be towards the middle of the left side of the upper tree, and a branch, very simple, you know, just add a few oak blocks and then a couple of jungle leaves around the end, pretty much surrounding the whole thing. And that'll make a nice simple branch. It adds a little bit of detail to the tree, takes the eye off of the top, and you can add that around as much as you like. That looks just fine to me. I think that looks quite good. The other editing process that you may want to do for the tree is changing the shape of the trunk, because the trunk is very binary, you know? It's very, like, it's just kind of like a circle at the moment. Well, you can knock blocks out of the tree trunk if you like. You'll have to replace them, of course, with oak wood. You can make it smaller on some parts and you can make it bigger on others. So you can make it random. And you are, of course, once you know, you kind of made the shape of your tree, and that looks kind of alright, actually. I don't think I've done too bad. I don't think it looks too bad. You don't have to, you know, edit it into oblivion. What I would make sure, though, is that all of your oak woods are facing normal ways. And what I mean by normal is, like, for instance, the branches, you know, they're going to be facing that way, aren't they? But, you know, the trunk, it's probably going to be facing upwards. A few blocks, actually, kind of like this one, you know, don't look too bad, but, you know, facing the odd way. So I guess I've kind of contradicted myself a little bit, but that's the sort of thing that you're going to want to do. And last but not least, of course, we are going to have to do the back of the tree as well. It's the same idea as what we did with the front of the tree, however, you know, it's coming towards the back. I'm not going to focus on this very much. I'm actually just going to kind of like close this up a little bit, because I think that we're actually reaching the point of the tutorial where you can kind of just do things by yourself from here. I've actually showed you pretty much everything that you're going to want to be adding to Winnie's house, except for the inside. The inside's actually quite small. All you're going to really want to add in there is a bed and loads of honey pots. There's actually not too much more to it. There's a little bit of tables, some chairs and stuff, but there's really not much going on. This house really is more about the outside, and it's not exactly the largest house that you could make. So once these leaves are done, I think that we're probably going to wrap it up right about here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Winnie's house. I'm very happy with this build. I think it's very simple. I think it's very cozy. And there's something about it that I really, really like. The familiarity of it has probably got a little bit to do with it. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please do remember to hit that like button, as it really helps me and the channel out very, very much. Share the video if you make it all the way to the end. Share the video with a friend, I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you do want to check out future content. That's the best way that you can do it. Click the little bell next to the subscription button. I'll ensure that you get all my stuff sent directly to your sub box. And if you do want to make anything else by me, whether it's cartoon related, movie related, I'll tell you what, if you actually liked this tutorial, then something that's probably right up your alley, but a lot harder actually, is Peter Rabbit's house, which I think is both impressive and kind of difficult to build as well. But you know, we've got all sorts of stuff in this world and on the channel in general that you'll be able to check out. There's a card system in the description below. The cartoon builds playlist is a great place to start if you do want to make some stuff. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate all of you very, very much. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.